U.S. Navy SEALs just launched a surprise strike on a Somali pirate fleet worth $2.9 billion. At first, it looked like the pirates had the upper hand with their motherships, skiffs, and stolen cargo. But what happened in the next 10 minutes shocked everyone and changed the entire fight at sea. At 3:10 a.m., the silence off the Horn of Africa was broken when a U.S. Navy task force moved on a Somali pirate fleet that had been terrorizing commercial lanes for months. This was not a random group of raiders in old fishing skiffs. This was a flotilla valued at nearly $2.9 billion in stolen cargo, hijacked vessels, ransom money, and smuggling infrastructure. The pirates had motherships converted from seized freighters, dozens of fast skiffs powered by multiple outboard engines, and armed crews carrying rocket-propelled grenades, heavy machine guns, and automatic rifles. For years, they had built a reputation of being untouchable, even staging daring raids on tankers hundreds of miles offshore. On this morning, that illusion ended. Overhead, a P-8 Poseidon aircraft circled at high altitude, relaying live intelligence feeds to the task force. Every pirate vessel's position was mapped, every heat signature tracked, and every movement monitored. Below, an MH-60 Seahawk helicopter, flying dark with night vision optics, swooped low across the waves, marking targets for the strike. The first flash came as the Seahawk's door gunners opened up with suppressive fire, stitching the decks of a pirate mothership and forcing armed lookouts to duck for cover. Simultaneously, rigid-hulled inflatable boats, RHIBS, packed with Navy SEALs, tore across the waves, their wakes glowing under moonlight as engines roared at maximum throttle. The SEALs, dressed in black gear with NVGs glowing faintly green, gripped suppressed HK-416 rifles and MP-7 submachine guns, prepared to breach and clear in seconds. As the RHIBs closed in, flashbang grenades arced through the night air and detonated across the pirate vessel's deck, blinding and disorienting defenders. Pirates scrambled, firing wildly with AK-47s and mounted DSHK heavy machine guns, but their shots tore into the sea harmlessly. The SEALs returned precise fire, eliminating threats one by one with calculated efficiency. Within the first 3 minutes, chaos consumed the fleet. One pirate skiff tried to break away, throttling its outboards in a desperate attempt to flee. A Seahawk hovering above fired 2 bursts from its mounted M240 machine gun, shredding the engines and leaving the skiff dead in the water. Another skiff attempted to shield the mothership by circling and spraying suppressive fire, but warning shots from a U.S. Navy destroyer positioned offshore forced it to scatter. On deck, SEAL breachers set explosive charges on reinforced cabin doors, blowing them open in synchronized blasts that echoed across the waves. Smoke, shouts, and gunfire filled the air as SEALs poured inside, clearing compartments with ruthless precision. By 3:18 a.m., the battle's outcome was already tilting. Pirate leaders who once strutted across stolen freighters now cowered in corners, their weapons abandoned. SEAL snipers positioned on the Seahawk picked off gunmen who tried to man heavy weapons, ensuring the mothership could not fire back. The pirates had counted on intimidation, speed, and sheer numbers to keep the world at bay. What they had not counted on was a full-spectrum strike combining air surveillance, naval cordons, helicopter gun runs, and elite SEAL operators boarding at multiple points at once. In under 10 minutes, the untouchable fleet was exposed as nothing more than a cluster of targets waiting to be taken apart. The raid did not happen overnight. For months, U.S. intelligence agencies, NATO partners, and international shipping companies had tracked the Somali pirate network's operations with increasing concern. What once looked like scattered attacks had evolved into a coordinated fleet, a maritime cartel that mirrored the structure of drug syndicates in the Caribbean. Intelligence officers pieced together a clear picture. The pirates had converted several hijacked freighters into motherships, each carrying fuel bladders, food supplies, and weapons caches. These motherships allowed them to push far beyond Somalia's coastline, operating hundreds of miles into the Indian Ocean. Their fleet was worth an estimated $2.9 billion, not because of the ships themselves, but because of the cargo, ransom assets, and seized equipment stored aboard. Every successful raid pumped money into their growing empire, fueling new attacks on tankers, bulk carriers, and container ships. The warning signs had been there for months. Merchant sailors reported being shadowed for hours by skiffs before sudden ambushes. AIS tracking, the system that logs ship positions, showed strange anomalies where freighters vanished from radar near Puntland, only to reappear weeks later under pirate control. Western analysts flagged this as a dangerous escalation. These were no longer small bands of fishermen with rusty AKs, but a disciplined force learning to operate like a navy. By early 2025, the pirates had carried out more than a dozen major hijackings, holding both ships and crews for ransom. Insurance rates for passing through the Gulf of Aden skyrocketed, costing global trade billions. The U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet, along with European forces under Operation Atalanta, began intensifying patrols. Satellite imagery from commercial providers like Maxar revealed new activity along secret staging areas on the Somali coast. Wooden dhows were being loaded with supplies. Radar pings suggested motherships were anchoring offshore to avoid easy detection. The final trigger came when intelligence confirmed that the pirate flotilla was massing for its largest operation yet, a plan to strike at an oil tanker convoy moving toward the Suez Canal. That single raid, if successful, could have crippled shipping in one of the world's most vital trade routes. Commanders greenlit a joint task force to eliminate the threat before it launched. The strategy was bold but clear: box the pirates in, cut off escape routes, and hit them with overwhelming force. P-8 Poseidon patrol aircraft would provide long-range ISR intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance. MQ-9 Reaper drones would circle silently, ready to track fleeing vessels. The destroyer USS Gravely and an allied French frigate moved into intercept positions, forming a cordon miles out at sea. The hammer, however, would be the SEAL teams. 2 full platoons, nearly 50 operators, were deployed, trained, and armed for maritime direct action. They drilled rehearsals using mock-up ships and prepared breaching tactics designed for pirate motherships. The pirates had grown confident after years of success, believing international navies had grown complacent. They stacked their ships with loot, weapons, and even hostages, treating the open ocean as their domain. What they did not know was that every movement had been logged, every signal intercepted, and every tactic studied. By the time the task force launched its operation, the pirates were not hunters anymore. They were prey. At 6:05 a.m., the first shots broke out as the SEALs reached the pirate fleet. The lead team fast-roped onto the largest mothership, weapons up, scanning every corner of the deck. Pirates manning improvised gun stations opened fire with AK rifles and heavy PKM machine guns. Tracer rounds cut through the air, but the SEALs responded instantly. Suppressed HK-416 rifles cracked in short bursts, each shot precise. Each target dropped one by one. A second SEAL squad breached the bridge using small explosive charges, flooding the control room with flashbangs before clearing it in seconds. Below, boarding teams in RHIBs surged toward hijacked dhows, climbing ladders under covering fire from door gunners aboard MH-60 Seahawks circling overhead. The pirates fought back hard, firing RPG-7s from the decks of smaller skiffs, their rockets trailing smoke into the sea. One exploded harmlessly in the water, another flew wide, missing the Seahawk by dozens of meters. In reply, the helicopter gunners poured suppressive fire into the launch sites, shredding positions with controlled bursts of 7.62mm rounds. On the waterline, SEAL operators in RHIBs used mounted .50 caliber machine guns to disable 2 pirate skiffs trying to flee. Engines exploded, smoke trailing as the boats slowed to a halt. Boarding teams hooked on and climbed aboard, clearing compartments stacked with rifles, fuel barrels, and smuggling crates. Inside the mothership, the fighting intensified. Narrow corridors turned into kill zones. Pirates ambushed from side doors, but SEAL Point men responded with flashbangs and MP-7 submachine guns, clearing rooms with speed and precision. The smell of smoke and fuel mixed in the air as fire began to spread from detonated fuel drums. Still, the operators pressed forward, covering each sector, calling clear as they moved deeper into the vessel. Overhead, a P-8 Poseidon fed live infrared imagery to the assault commander, marking heat signatures of fleeing pirates trying to hide below decks. Guided by those coordinates, SEAL L fire teams cornered the holdouts, forcing some to surrender while others tried one last stand. In less than 15 minutes, most upper decks were secure. Dead pirates lay scattered across gun positions, while captured fighters were zip-tied and lined against bulkheads. The sound of gunfire faded, replaced by shouted commands, rotor wash from helicopters above, and the rumble of explosions as demolition charges destroyed pirate weapon stockpiles. The first contact had been fierce, but the discipline and precision of the SEAL assault left no doubt. The pirates were outmatched, outgunned, and on the verge of total collapse. By 7 a.m., the battle was over. The pirate fleet, once valued at more than $2.9 billion in stolen cargo, smuggling profits, and hijacked vessels, lay in ruins. The largest mothership burned from bow to stern, smoke pouring into the morning sky, while its crew lay captured or dead. Smaller skiffs drifted aimlessly, their engines destroyed, their operators bound in plastic restraints. Onboard searches revealed caches of heroin, cocaine, ransom money, and satellite phones linking the pirates to wider criminal networks across the Arabian Sea. 4 hostages, weak but alive, were rescued from a converted cargo hold and rushed to medical care by SEAL medics. Evidence teams photographed and cataloged everything: weapons stockpiles, contraband ledgers, encrypted comms gear. Intelligence officers knew this haul would break open financial trails leading back to the pirate command structure in Puntland. The destruction of the fleet also had immediate tactical impact. With dozens of vessels sunk or seized, the pirates lost not just their firepower, but their mobility, the very speed and maneuverability that had allowed them to terrorize shipping lanes. Local fishing boats cautiously returned to the waters later that day, reporting relief at the sight of U.S. helicopters and warships patrolling the horizon. Strategically, the message was crystal clear. For years, pirate leaders believed they could outpace and outmaneuver naval patrols with sheer numbers and audacity. But this strike proved that when U.S. Navy SEALs combine with air and sea power, no pirate fleet is untouchable. What was supposed to be a multi-billion-dollar backbone of piracy was gone in a single morning. Politically, the operation carried weight far beyond the Horn of Africa. Shipping companies, insurers, and regional navies watched the footage, knowing the U.S. had redrawn the rules of maritime security. Washington issued a brief statement confirming the raid, but released no operational details, letting the results speak for themselves. Pirates defeated, hostages freed, smuggling empire shattered. Analysts noted the cost ratio: a fleet worth billions destroyed with relatively low expense and 0 U.S. casualties. For the pirates, the message was brutal and final. The age of free reign on the seas was over. Every time they launched, every time they sailed, they risked annihilation from above, from the sea, and from within. The oceans were no longer theirs to exploit. With the dawn light cutting across the waves, SEAL operators withdrew, RHIBs pulling back to waiting destroyers as helicopters lifted the rescued hostages skyward. Behind them, fire still raged on the pirate motherships, black columns of smoke marking the graveyard of a once powerful fleet. The mission was complete, swift, decisive, and absolute. The U.S. had shown not only its reach, but its resolve, proving to every cartel, smuggler, and pirate syndicate: if you build it, if you sail it, if you profit from it, America will strike and it will burn.